What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Welcome to the nightly bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm on the ones and twos as well tonight. So if there's any problems with the audio or anything like that, if you could just let me know, because I'm a one-man band and I'm ready to rock. Very, very interesting evening thus far. Let's go over it. Let's go over it here. Let's just make sure that I'm certain of it, but I'm not going to count it as a victory unless I see it with my own eyes. That Cleveland Chicago White Sox under. Let's make sure that nothing crazy happened here. Let me just move over here and further. Oh, there we go. 2-1 final. Beautiful. Only mistake right now is not backing Sproat. First time I don't back Sproat, he shoves. So let's see. Right now we are 9-5. 9-5 right now. We lost the Mariners first 5. We cashed the Royals first 3 plus a half. Luinder Avila delivered, and I lose both bets on the total in that game. Very disappointing. It's possible that the same thing could happen with Ryan Johnson and the Angels. Very, very disappointing. But I digress. Mariners, first 5 was a loss. Royals, first 3 plus a half, cashed. Philadelphia, Washington, first 5 over 4.5, cashed. Cleveland, Chicago White Sox, first 3 under 2, cashed. Cleveland, Chicago White Sox, 37.5, cashed. Cardinals, first 5 pushed. And there is danger lurking on the base paths right now. Here, Arizona has 2 men on. Top of the 9th. No runs have been scored in that ball game. So we'll see. I've got Baltimore, LA first 3 under 2.5, which is dangerous because 2 runs were scored. It's LA up 2-0. We're basically at the halfway mark there. Then I have that full game under 9. Houston first 5 cash to plus 104. Houston full game cash to plus 113. Lost KC, Tampa Bay first 3 under 2.5. Lost KC, Tampa Bay full game under 8. Cash Texas, Miami first 3 under 2.5. Man, Port Dopes, Cal Quantrill shoved, but he was only in there for 2 innings. And everything fell apart. So I lost the full game under 8.5. Very disappointing. Cashed Washington first 5 plus a half. Lost Colorado first 3 plus a half. And it appears that I'm about to lose Colorado first 5 plus a half. I probably didn't need to double down there. But God, man, I love this card. And I just was hammering and hammering and hammering. And a lot of double downs. And then I cashed Mariners full game. So we're 9-5. We don't count chickens here. So there's a lot of action left to be told. The story's still yet to be told. Thank you guys so much for rocking with me. We got Josh Witt in the house. What up, Josh, my man? Just got off a 10-hour shift. Ready to start capping. Respect, man. You're fighting the good fight. Dougie Wise in the house, catching the free bands play. The Yankees minus 113, 2-unit banger. Dougie Wise running hot. Mark Stasowski ready to get to work. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Let's attack. Let's not waste any time here. So let's roll. Oh, that should be. Come on. Do I need to refresh this? Okay. Maybe I. Let me try this one more time. Let me go into the panel one more time. Maybe that will work. Maybe a refresh here. And this. Okay. We are ready to rock. I wish this was working. It is not, but I'm not going to waste any time here. This is too bad. Okay. Well, I'm just going to roll on as if it's working, but I have pressed the sidebar. It's too bad that it's not working. Maybe if I go here and then go back here. Okay, well, it's good. Okay, yes, it is working now. Okay. Is it? Yes, it is. Okay, we are in business. Let's roll here. We don't want to show the pitchers, though, because it is not Cal Quantrill, and hide pitchers. See if that works. Let's just hide everything. Okay. Hopefully the pit. Okay. That is a problem here. First time producing the show on my own. Please pay no attention to the pictures underneath. Maybe we can get them ditched. Let me just do a practice here. If I go here. Okay. All right. I will just do the very best that I can here and hope that this works. Let's roll. Jay Robinson in the house, AM, ready to get to work. Thank you guys for joining us. We start with the Texas Rangers at the Miami Marlins, 12:10 p.m. Eastern at Lone Depot Park in Miami, Florida. Let's go right to, roof will be closed, of course. Almost July here. Of course, the roof will be closed. There's my man Topset in the house. We have Jacob DeGrom, 6-4, 3.59 ERA, 1.03 whip, 3.55 expected ERA. And he's going up against Yuri Perez, who is fresh off the IL. Let's start with DeGrom here. His last start, June 19th, 6 innings, 6 hits, 6 earned runs, 2 homers, 9 Ks, 3 walks, 9-7 win at home over the Padres. Look, I was heavy in belief in Ryan Johnson. Because of what Ryan Johnson did in his last start. Ryan Johnson allowed 5 runs in the first inning, a 23-year-old, very highly thought of prospect. And he kept this shit together. And he threw 4 more innings after that. And he saved a bullpen massacre. And that's the same thing that our Jacob DeGrom did on his bobblehead night. Jay Robinson, yes. Now, I thought Luinder Avila was going to shove today. I was on the Royals' first 3+1/2. But, yes, the Royals are hitting, and, it appears McClanahan's dealing with some arm fatigue. Oh, and it looks like I'm getting a little blurry. Let's make sure we're not blurry. Okay, let's continue rolling. Jay, we'll get that cash back for you here with this beautiful, beautiful card. So here we go. We have an impressive start. Now, I know you look at 6 earned runs in 6 innings. You're like, how is that possibly impressive? But he didn't allow that 6th run until, I believe, the 6th inning. He allowed 5 earned runs in the first inning. He cashed us the first 5 minus a half. It was Jacob DeGrom bobblehead night, and he fell apart early and then got himself together and, went 6 innings. So it's a tricky spot, but I do like it here. Robert Cherry, how would I ever forget you, man? I would never forget you. Why would you think I had forgotten you for any reason? I don't know why you would need to say that, Robert, my man. But I have copied and pasted your information here. And, I talk about you every show we have, Robert. So I don't see how that could be forgetting you. But the funeral is on hold till further notice due to unforeseen circumstances. I will reach out and connect with you. I'm sorry to hear that is happening here. The repast still on for this Thursday, but the funeral is on hold. Okay, well, I will be in touch, but I certainly haven't forgotten. I don't know how that is possible. You are in the forefront of my thoughts, and we talk about you every show. But back to capping here. So I have no problem with DeGrom's last start. Let's talk about Yuri Perez. Yuri Perez went on the DL or IL now on May 27th. Oh, okay. Sorry, Robert. I will reach out, man. I will reach out. It's busy times here, but I will definitely reach out, Robert. Wednesday, May 27th, he was pulled from his start. He had a right gracilis strained muscle, strained right gracilis muscle in his thigh. Now, the right gracilis muscle I needed to study. I didn't know what the hell this muscle was. And it was an interesting read. The nickname of the right gracilis muscle is the anti-rape muscle. It forcefully adducts the thighs. The gracilis is associated with closing the legs. There you go. If you want a little information, a little note for yourself, there you have it. If you want to use this, I wouldn't use it on a date. I wouldn't be having dinner with a beautiful woman and say, how's your right gracilis muscle? And she could go, what's that? And you would say, well, it's your, I digress. So I don't know if I would use it, but it is associated with closing the legs. Now, the reason why I needed to research it was because he was supposed to be out for 8 weeks, a right gracilis strain, and he was supposed to be out for 8 weeks. So he came back in 4 weeks, which is pretty impressive. Walla Walla Dose in the house. Coco Bongo G Biz. Mark's house. He says the under 7.5 is the play here. Bullpen's got the rest they needed tonight. If they can back up Perez, and they can back up Perez if he gets in trouble. Well, let's talk about Perez because he only made one rehab start. It was last Thursday. Light G's in the house. So he made one rehab start, AAA Jacksonville. He struck out 5 over 3 2/3. 3 2/3. He got up to 99.4 miles per hour on his four-seamer. He got his pitch count up to 51, so we can imagine that there'll be some limitations for him. He was throwing 96 to 98. So he's ready to go. This was not an arm issue. So let's talk about what Yuri was doing before he got hurt. 4.60 ERA, 1.26 whip. He had a 4.91 expected ERA. He was not pitching very well. His start before he left with the gracilis injury, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. The start he left before that was a great start. 6 1/3, 2 hits, 1 earned run, a solo shot, 5 Ks, no walks, then 2-1 win at home over the Mets. And then he was rolling. He had 9 strikeouts in 4 innings in his start Wednesday, May 27th at the Blue Jays. So he was rolling, and then he strains his right gracilis. So that is the situation. It would not shock me if Yuri Perez pitches well here. He's at home. He's going up against a Rangers team that's not hitting righties, 250, 694 OPS. The Marlins versus righties, 246, 722 OPS. Marlins bullpen has been very good this year, 3.25 ERA, 1.17 whip. Rangers bullpen, 4.52 ERA, 1.34 whip. There's the truth teller in the house. So that is the situation that we are dealing with. Let's take a look at the line history here. I have made 3 bets on this MLB card. Of course, I'm back engaged, jump first 3 and first 5. And of course, I'm on the under in the Guardians game. So there's nothing new here. Those are bets that you, if you run with me, probably knew that I was going to place here. So let's roll here. And they did get 3 runs on the Cardinals. So that does not look good. So let's take a look at the line history here for this spot. And it has just come out. And it's only come out at a few different books. My bookie, Will Hill, Bookmaker, and Bet Chris, who run in unison, also have opened this up with the Rangers at minus 120. Rangers at minus 120. When we get to the total here for this one, we have a 7.5, and it's minus 111 to the under. Opened up minus 113 to the under. And then there was a 7-cent move towards the over. That under went down to minus 106. Then it got back to minus 111. So we've had 2 cents of movement towards the over. Josh Wood, our guy Swiggy, and great to see True Teller rocking with us. Our guy Swiggy they're at the Mothership in Austin comedy show. Jeff Slaughter, Chappie Funk, Swiggy Betts, they're all there rocking together. So shout out to our guys. So here, I think that having interest in the under makes sense. These teams don't have a lot of power. They're hitting with a decent average, but again, very low power numbers against righties. Yuri Perez was not on the IL for an arm injury, which is something that is enticing. And I can just go full screen. And now, I guess we're dealing with some. This happens sometimes with the back. Sure, I can go full screen. No problem. Let me move this over here. Okay, we are. Oh, pull this out. Get this up here. There we go. All right, we will go full screen. So I will not be using the graphics then, I guess. All right, so I will timestamp the show. It'll take a while, but I will timestamp the show. AJ Stock still says the Giants are on the board. Now, that is good and bad. I am on the Giants first 5 minus half and the full game minus 1, but I am also on the unders. So that is good and a bad here. We got... let's get this off here. There we go. Okay, back to business here. So I understand this interest in the unders. I'm going to spend a little more time on that, but I get it. I think I would like to see some market movement. I would like to see. I like that it opened up at a 7.5, but that's generally where these lines open up for an early afternoon game in Lone Depot Park. It's going to be empty at 12:10 p.m. Eastern. I do think that DeGrom did not look good in his last start, but held it together. And I kind of like Yuri Perez coming off the IL with a non-arm injury. So unders do interest me. I will study it a little bit more after the show, and then we will reconvene here at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Let's roll on. Next up for us, we have the double dip in the Cubs and Mets. Cubs-Mets, game 1 and game 2. They spent a long time not putting this on the board. They weren't letting us attack either of the double dips. They weren't telling us who was going to pitch in either of the games, and they still haven't. Now, if you go to RotoWire, you will see that it's Shota Imanaga and Nolan McLean in game 1. And then they have Javier Assad and Sean Manaea in game 2. But none of the books have this up. So I'm very hesitant to sit here and want to make a breakdown for either of the double header games. So let's just see if any of the books have opened up. So none of them. We're talking no books have opened up the Cubs-Mets line. So at this point, let's wait a little bit. Giants 2-0, says Dougie Wise. So let's wait a little bit here and hammer this in the morning when we know the pitching setup. If it was so simple that it was Shota Imanaga and Nolan McLean, then it would be announced and we'd be able to bet it. The Mets are not hitting lefties hard. I really like Nolan McLean, although he seems to have stumbled over the last little while. Javier Assad is pitching like he wants to be a starting pitcher in Major League Baseball. He's looking very good. And Sean Manaea is a lefty journeyman, and we don't even know if he's going to have an opener or what's going to happen there. So I think that we can comfortably, skip these two spots here and then reconvene once we know who will be starting. So let's move on to Guardians, Chicago White Sox. I'm on the under 8.5 at -110. And I have no excuse for not getting the 9 that opened up initially here for this one. No excuse at all. This opened up at a 9, and it was actually plus money to the under 100. And wow, it went back to 9. Wow, I didn't even know that. I timed this poorly. I could have just waited a little bit longer. So this got back to a 9 at 9:01 p.m. I'd already made the bet. Got back to a 9. Wow. So this went from 9 to 8.5 back to 9. And now we're back at an 8.5. And it's -115 to the over and -105 to the under. Wow, I timed that poorly. I would have loved a 9. I never saw a 9 over at Penny. This is all at Bet Online. On the money line here, we've had 7 cents of movement towards the Chicago White Sox. 6 cents from +113 to +107. So we have a line moving towards Eric Fetty. Now, is it because this line is moving towards the White Sox and not Eric Fetty? Is that how we should look at it? We know the Guardians are playing without Jose Ramirez in the lineup, and he is a huge piece to their puzzle. Let's go with Tanner Bybee, 2-8, 4.03 ERA, 1.18 WHIP. It's got a 4.57 expected ERA. The last time we saw Tanner Bybee was Friday, June 19th. He allowed 3 earned runs over 5 1/3, 9-3 loss at the Astros. He's a pitcher that we generally want to back at home. He's been very good at home, but we're dealing with him here on the road. So let's focus on his road starts. Before the June 19th, a poor start. He had to start on June 6th. 8 innings, 3 hits, 3 Ks, 2 walks, and a 6-0 win at the Rangers. Before that, he had 3 straight home starts, and he didn't look great in them. Actually, I guess that 4 straight home starts before that. When we go back out on the road, we have to go all the way back to May 9th. That's 2 earned runs over just 4 innings. Didn't strike out a batter in a win at Miami. Wasn't because of him. The start before that, he allowed 8 runs. Only 4 were earned in 3 2/3 at the Mets. Look, he cannot be trusted. He cannot be trusted. And I've always been high on Tanner Bybee. But again, he's someone that we back at home and not on the road. I am still on the under 8.5 in this baseball game. I do not fear the White Sox sticks as much as we did a little while ago. Versus righties, 249, 741 OPS. And we know what the Guardians are doing without Ramirez not hitting. So why wouldn't Fedde be able to pitch well here at home against a really weak lineup? Last time he pitched was at the Tigers, 2 earned runs over 4 2/3. It was okay. I imagine if he allows 2 earned runs over 4 2/3 in this one, that will be perfectly set up for our full game under. The start before that was another okay start. I mean, they use kids' gloves when they deal with Fedde. They don't want him in for too long. They certainly won't allow him to see a lineup a third time. And they would prefer not to have him see a lineup a second time as well. But he's not pitching horrible. If we look at his numbers, 4.46 ERA, 1.39 whip. Now, he's allowed 14 home runs over 70 2/3. He's got a 4.49 expected ERA. When it's all said and done, you know, I would be pretty comfortable with a AAA pitcher against this Guardians lineup right now. So I just need Tanner Bybee to pitch okay. Mark Sasowski says, fade Bybee. Sinker affinity run was fading per analysts. Pitch isn't special. Hitters not surprised anymore. Middling, says our guy, Mark Stasowski. So I guess that, now, look, I think that you are probably right, and the Guardians should probably be faded nonstop. In saying that, I don't trust Fedde. What I trust are these two bullpens. Guardians bullpen's been a tick worse than it's been for a while. 3.98 ERA, 1.37 whip. While the White Sox bullpen, 4.12 ERA, 1.35 whip. So that is the spot here for White Sox Guardians. I am on the full game under. The full game under. Let's roll on to our next spot on the board here. 3:10 p.m. Eastern. Boston Red Sox at Colorado Rockies. We're at Coors Field in Denver, Colorado. Let's get into the weather here for Denver, Colorado. Here we go. So June 24th, Denver, Colorado, plus 34% runs, plus 28% homers, plus 25% doubles and triples, and plus 17% singles. We talked about rate field in our last spot, and I didn't talk about the weather there. It's plus 2% runs. Nothing that we need to worry about here. But of course, Coors Field is very, very offensive. Very, very offensive. We have Ranger Suarez on the hill. He's going up against Kyle Freeland. So we have a couple of lefties attacking each other here in this one. Coors Field in Denver, Colorado. Ranger Suarez, 3-3, 2.93 ERA, 1.12 whips. Got a 3.39 expected ERA. He went on the IL after being pulled from his May 3rd start. He had right hamstring tightness, and he went on the IL. He came out and he started pitching very well. Back-to-back starts, he looked very, very good. And then he got touched up May 26th. He got touched up for 5 earned runs over 5 innings in a 7-6 loss at home versus the Braves. He got touched up again in that next start, May 31st, 9-4 win at the Guardians. And then he put it back together. These last 3 starts have been very, very good. He went 6 1/3. He allowed 1 earned run, a 6-1 loss at the Yankees. Then Saturday, June 13th, he went only 5 innings, but that wasn't a great start. 2 earned runs at home over the Rangers. And then Friday, June 19th, 6 2/3, 1 hit and no earned runs in the 6-2 win at the Mariners in run-suppressing weather. And Josh saying that it will rain. He's supposed to rain tomorrow night. Looking at RotoWire, they do not have this game. They have 18% precipitation here for Colorado. So this is 3:10 p.m. Eastern, so it must be fine in the afternoon. So that is Ranger Suarez. So, of course, the question we have for Ranger Suarez is, have you ever pitched in the thin air of Colorado? And we assume that he has. He spent a ton of his time with the Philadelphia Phillies. His career started with the Philadelphia Phillies. So we assume that he's been there and done that. But let's just take a look at what he's done here in the thin air of Colorado historically. So we're going to go to Ranger Suarez splits here very quickly. And we have, okay, here we go. So we don't need to worry about 2026, obviously. So let's get into 2025 and see if Suarez was in Coors field, and he was 6 2/3, and he does not allow a run. Completely shuts down. Now this offense is much better than this Rockies offense, much better than it was last year. And we have a this could be afternoon severe weather threat. Interesting. Okay, well let's pull up. So we know that he's going to be fine, but let's pull up the Denver weather here and see what we are dealing with. Yeah, I don't have any of that. I have none of that. I have a beautiful day in Denver tomorrow. Thursday, scattered thunderstorms, severe weather. Tuesday, scattered some thunderstorms. But Wednesday, I have a really nice day. We have chance of showers at 11 a.m. Oh, sorry. Here we have a chance. We have light rain early, but clear at 8 a.m. Mostly cloudy. 10% chance of precipitation at 11 a.m. At 2 p.m. we have 10% precipitation. The winds are very, very, very light here. 4 mile per hour winds, and then 5 miles. So I've got a very different story here for the weather. So I'm very comfortable with the situation here. We have Kyle Freeland on the other side here, and he got his season off to a great start and then started getting touched up after he came off the IL. He went on the IL for left posterior shoulder soreness, and he was sidelined as April 15th. And then he came back and he started getting annihilated. Those first 3 starts for him this year were very good. He allowed 4 earned runs over his first 3 starts. And then he started getting hit up. He started getting attacked. And he got attacked in start after start after start when he came out. When he came back out, 4 earned runs, 6 earned runs, 6 earned runs, 7 earned runs, 3 earned runs over 4 2/3. I guess that's considered a good start. That game actually went under at the range of under 9.5, which was a shock. It was in the thin air of Colorado. Then May 26, 4 innings, 8 earned runs, and the 15-6 loss at the Dodgers. Start after that, 5 earned runs over 5 2/3. June 1st at the Angels. I mean, these were pretty ugly starts. And then 5 innings, 3 earned runs, and a 12-4 loss at home versus the Brewers was a sign, okay, maybe he's starting to get shit together, because we know that the Brewers have been hitting lefties hard. And then his last start was a thing of beauty at home versus the Pirates. 2 earned runs. Now, there was one start in between, and it was in Sacramento. Actually, it was in Summerlin in Vegas, and he got touched up for 6 earned runs over 5 2/3. So he's a very difficult pitcher to trust. The Red Sox are not hitting lefties with power, 249, 725 OPS. Rockies versus lefties, 274, 748 OPS. The Red Sox have a massive bullpen advantage, 3.36 ERA, 1.22 whip over the last 30 days, while the Rockies bullpen has a 6.73 ERA and a 1.75 whip. Okay, Josh says his weather says 7 to 10. It's supposed to rain at Coors Field. No, that'd be fine, Josh, if it rains then, because this game's at 3:10 p.m. So it's at 2:10 p.m. or 1:10 p.m. It's local time. So nothing to worry about that. I have different information, but again, I don't think there's anything for us to worry about here in this spot. Let's take a look at the line history and go from there. Line history wise, Colorado, Boston had no movement. This one opened up with the Boston Red Sox minus 165. They're sitting here at minus 165. When we get to the total here for this one, we have a half run move towards the under. We know that Suarez can pitch in this situation. Rod Zawacki in the house says, bet on Ranger Suarez and road starts on the run line in the first half of the season. Suarez team record in his career, 27-6. Very interesting there. That'd be Red Sox run line. Well, look, last time we capped a game with Kyle Freeland in it, Rod said, friends don't let friends back Kyle Freeland. And it was this start against the Pirates where the market was telling us that this game was going to go under. And that's exactly what happened. In fact, it was a 4-3 final score, but there was just a couple runs scored in the first 5 innings. Morgan Spooner in the house says, Trevor is adamant Anthony Kay is a better pitcher than Suarez. I like watching you guys go back and forth. Aaron Gaza says the Diamondbacks, man. Yeah, it's too bad. It's too bad. Leahy did everything that we asked of him. Oh, you're saying that the game's still alive. Okay. All right. Okay. And we just need 3 outs here. 3 outs to cash that first 3 under in Baltimore, Los Angeles. Ryan Johnson pitching exactly the way we had hoped. And we're hearing that St. Louis is still alive. I don't think we're going to get to the board here. Nate Cerna says, not a good day. Says the Phillies hurt him tonight. We can change that in a hurry, Nate. We can change that in a hurry. The Phillies won the baseball game, though, Nate. Oh, you were on the Nats? Because I had the Nats first 5. I got paid. The Phillies won the game. I guess you must have been on the Nats. Okay, because there was a huge comeback by the Phillies. They won 14-9. But back, I'm sure you know that. Back to business here. You know, it's a sick thing to say out loud, but I'm interested in the under. I just can't trust the Rockies bullpen. So, yeah, the Phillies won, Nate. The Phillies won 14-9. They won by 5 runs. So there's some good news for you, Nate, my man. So, yeah, I'm interested in unders, early unders. I certainly won't double up, though. I'm going to have to write that here. No double up. I've got to decide which one I find more appealing between the first 3 and the first 5, and I will do that. And I lean towards the first 3, but and Mark Sasowski's model likes the under as well, but only if the weather is fine, like we see. So yeah, maybe we'll just keep an eye on that. Again, I'm not going to double up, but I'm interested in the unders. And I'm also hesitant to back the Boston Red Sox in any form, especially as this big of a favorite. I think the size of their being a favorite is mostly predicated on this big advantage they have with starting pitching. And we've seen Freeland pitch pretty well. He's coming off a nice start at home. Can he follow that up? He's not a fun pitcher to back. Let's roll on. 4:07 p.m. Eastern, our next spot on the board. Baltimore Orioles 37-42, 15-23 on the road. At the LA Angels 32-47, 17-20 at home. Ryan Johnson delivering for me as we speak here. And we did it. We cashed the first 3 under. That's a plus money too, plus 105. And we are 1 run away. You know, I don't want, honestly, well, obviously I do want St. Louis to tie the game up, but my heart will break for under bettors everywhere. I mean, that's just awful. Just fucking awful to lose like that. San Francisco 49er in the house. So, and Coco Bongo says sweating. Okay, you know, nothing wrong with a little sweat, Coco. Nothing wrong with a little sweat. So let's roll. Trey Gibson. We have Trey Gibson on the hill going up against Jose Soriano. Angel Stadium. Trey Gibson 1-2, 5.81 ERA, 1.71 whip. He's got 6.18 expected ERA. In AAA, 3.55 ERA, but a 1.53 whip. He walks too many batters. His last start, June 19th, was pretty good. 6-5 loss at the Dodgers. He pitched at Chavez Ravine, allowed 3 earned runs over 5 innings, struck out 8, walked 4. There's nothing wrong with that. The start before that at home versus the Padres, he got lit up and smoked versus the Padres. The start before that, he was okay. 3 earned runs over 4 2/3 at home, but we should probably focus on his road starts because he had 4 straight home starts before that. He started his career, his first spot this year was at the Yankees. And then the next 4 appearances were all at home. So he gets on the road and he pitches pretty well against the Dodgers. Let's talk about Jose Soriano. 8-4, 3.03 ERA, 1.27 whip. He's got a 4.19 expected ERA. Was the best pitcher in Major League Baseball to start the year, and now he's back to pitching below average. Something we've seen a lot from him. If you use the eye test for Jose Soriano, you're like, man, this guy's a monster. But he just doesn't seem to get it done. Last start, June 19th, he was supposed to start on June 18th. And he had some back issues. I forget what the exact story was, but he was going to be able to pitch the following day. And he pitched the following day. And he walked 4 batters, allowed 4 earned runs over 5 innings. It was a 12-11 loss at the Athletics. So he comes home. The last time we saw him at home, he shut down the Rays in an 8-0 win at home. That was June 13th. So the start before that at home was versus the Rockies. He walked 7 batters. Now, he almost made it through 5 innings. He somehow only allowed 2 earned runs. He's got an issue with walks. He's got an issue of trying to be too perfect, and especially after the fact that he felt like he was, Pedro Martinez after the first 6 starts of the year. The Orioles are hitting righties hard, 258, 783 OPS, and so are the Angels hitting righties hard, 277, 791 OPS. There's our guy, Philly Eagle Flyer. He's on the Marlins game to be tied after 2 innings, plus 152. He catched that today at plus 182. And then we have this Angels bullpen delivering, which has been a big surprise to all of us. 3.28 ERA, 1.34 whip. Orioles bullpen, 3.96 ERA, 1.29 whip. So that is where we stand right now in Orioles, Angels, Gibson, Soriano. I mean, I don't trust Trey Gibson. And I certainly don't trust Jose Soriano. I mean, it's easy to not trust a guy with an inflated statistical profile. That's not Soriano, unless you are very clear about what he's done over his last 6 or 7 starts, which has not been very good. So let's take a look at the weather here to get us started in Angel Stadium. It's offensive, but not crazy. Plus 5% runs, plus 8% homers, minus 5% doubles and triples, and plus 5% singles. Let's get into the line history for this spot. We have a pretty big move to the under, 25-cent move to the under. 9.5 at plus 100, and now it's a 9.5 at minus 125. I think it's worth comparing it to today. Today we had Boz and Reed Johnson, and that total opened up at 9 at minus 120, a half run better. I think that is very, fair. I think it's just like that Boz and Johnson should be a 9, and Soriano and Gibson should be a 9.5. Look, where is the angle here? I just don't trust Soriano at the price point that he's at right now. When you bet a favorite, you better have some conviction if you're going to be paying this big to the books for your team to succeed. And look, minus 130 down to minus 120. I mean, now you're saying, well, shouldn't he be a bigger favorite? I mean, isn't this line screaming at you that the Angels are in trouble tomorrow? I mean, Ryan Johnson, if he shoves here, is going to be gauge jump level fandom for me immediately. Jose Soriano opens up at minus 130, goes down to minus 120. This is an Orioles team. You can say all you want about how the Orioles are raking. They're 8 games under 500 on the road against an Angels team that's 3 games under 500 at home. This is a fishy line. Okay, the Diamondbacks win. Okay. All right. Well, that's a loss for me. And Mark Stowski says, do you trust the LA Bats with the lineup they put out there right now? Look, I think that we should not get caught up in Trout being out of the lineup and look at the names of the lineup because statistically they're still hitting. So I think that we should not use an eye test, not look at the lineup. I really think that's going to hurt us and hurt our analysis. I mean, look at these last few games for the Angels. So yes, they scored 1 run last night, but they scored 9 runs in Sacramento, 7 runs. I think the issue is that, and this is the reason why I said not to trust the Athletics numbers against lefties. The reason why we don't want to trust the Athletics numbers against lefties is because they left very, very offensive conditions. So I think that, I mean, I moved on the Angels against Boz. I'm on the Angels first 5+1/2. They scored 2 runs off the hop against Boz. I mean, that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. So, with all this being said, I think this is an extremely fishy line. And I think the Orioles should be bet. And it would be all the better if Ryan Johnson shoves here and we cash, the Angels cash easily and shut down the Orioles. Rod Swag says, bet on Jose Soriano on the money line when pitching in day games. Soriano's team record during the 2026 season, 5-0. That's interesting. I think that personally, that thus far, this is we're just starting with the breakdowns of the games, but this is the fishy line of the day. That's what I think. I think this is insanely fishy. The fact that this line would be moving towards Trey Gibson. Let's see if we can take it to the next level. Let's grab Pinnacle, pull Pinnacle up here, and let's discuss the first 5 full game business. I know what I'm doing now. I'm fading Jose Soriano is what I'm going to do. Because minus 130. When I was saying to you guys that if you're going to bet on a favorite, you better have conviction for the vig you're paying, I was assuming we were going to see a minus 150. Assuming. I mean, again, if you compare, I guess we can't really compare the Ryan Johnson spot, but let's just see what we are getting here. Orioles, Angels. Angels are minus 118. Can you believe that? Minus 118 with Trey Gibson against Jose Soriano, minus 118. And first 5, they're minus 126. Now, yes, you could say that's 8 cents of difference. But the Orioles full game are plus 107. First 5, they're plus 108. It's just more vig on the first 5. BJ in the house. Great to see you. BJ, nice cash on the Phillies today. And Rod Zwacky says 4-0 with a 1.42 ERA in Soriano in day games. Rod Zwacky and Philly Eagle Flyer on Angels first 5. Mark sees a 5-cent move to the Angels. Again, it's all about what books that you want to focus on. I really do like focusing on BetOnline because I know they're first to the party. They open this up at minus 130 at 1:40 p.m. 10 minutes later, this is a minus 120. The Orioles open up at plus 118. 10 minutes later, they're at plus 109. And Soriano and the Angels are fool's gold tomorrow. Fool's gold. And, they should be faded, I believe, with this market. Can anybody here say that this market makes any sense to them? Spoon says, I have an issue with not changing my expectations for LA without Trout. It's a small sample size so far. I don't trust it. Same situation as Cleveland with different outcome variants. Oh, that's fair. That's fair, Spoon. That's not fair. But we shouldn't just say we're going to take Trout out of this lineup and watch them struggle. I'd have to go a little deeper. But I watch the Guardians play a ton. And I bet unders in Guardians games a ton. And it's just Ramirez is the only reason why these unders don't hit. I watch this lineup, Ramirez does so much. I mean, from the cleanup spot and the stealing bases, you could say that Trout does the exact same thing, and that'd be fine. But again, and the Angels numbers are skewed from being in Sacramento for a few games. So, you can expect the Angels lineup to struggle without Trout. I would just like to see it here statistically before I put too much onus in it. I'm a huge Ramirez fan, and I'm not that big of a Trout fan. That went away over the last 4 or 5 years, first off, so I have a bias. And secondly, any team that leaves, generally speaking, a very offensive run situation doesn't score runs first off. So again, that's part of the fun of all this is you can find your route to the bag here. Trout makes the Angels lineup better. Sure. I mean, that'd be the most ludicrous statement to say that it doesn't. It's just that Trout, like in the national, I don't consider baseball team sport. I always have told you guys there's a bunch of individuals playing on a team, focusing on their individual stats. But we saw Trout get hurt, and these young guys stepped up. We saw Ramirez get hurt, and we saw this horrifically weak Guardians lineup. This line here to me is screaming fade Soriano and bet the Orioles. And I will heed the advice. And I think it's going to require a double up to put my money where my mouth is. And that is trusting the fact that the books are offering Soriano, who is the best pitcher in Major League Baseball, after 6 starts. And also, when Rod says, the day games, how many of those games were in those first starts of the year? Like, when was Soriano's last day game? It's tricky. Like, it would take me some time to go through it, but I will do that afterwards, because he was phenomenal to start the year. I guess maybe that's another thing I could do, is put the time on all these games, because I have every single start he has right in front of me. Look, he was spectacular. In the first 6 starts, he allowed 1 earned run. I mean, if 3 or more of those starts happen in those first 6, and I don't, I'm very comfortable with it. BJ says backwood, and it surprises me that you would say that, BJ. Someone who really believes in the market. Imagine the line moving 10 cents towards Trey Gibson against Jose Soriano. That doesn't pique your interest? Let's roll on. 6:40 p.m. Eastern. Kansas City Royals 32-46, 13-24 on the road. At the Tampa Bay Rays 43-31, 26-10 at home. We're at Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Florida. Let's get into the line history here for this one. I think it. I was astonished that this opened at -130 and went to -120. It made that whole point about having conviction on favorites moot, because they're barely a favorite against Trey Gibson. I think that's insane. Noah Cameron here versus Griffin Jacks. We've had this massive move towards the Rays. It took 10 minutes for the Rays to go from -125 to -145. A 20-cent move means there was immediate sharp action, albeit with limits, but immediate sharp action. This also dropped to the under. That's not as big of a move. It opened up 8 -120 to the under. It's already heavily juiced to the under, and then it moved to 7.5. 31 minutes later, moved 10 cents to -130, and then a couple hours ago, 10:48 already. Of course, it's going long. Doug White says Ray is pitching well here. Yeah, Spoons. I was just wondering of those, because that was that. The stat that Rod dropped. I was just wondering how many of those 5-day game starts were within those first 6 starts of the year. That is exactly what I'm going to check when I'm off today, unless somebody can grab that information for me. Because I was saying, if 3 or more of those day starts happen in those first 6 starts, then I'm going to just put a line through them, because he's a different pitcher now than he was when he was Pedro Martinez to start the season. Let's roll. Noah Cameron, 4-4, 4.20 ERA, 1.27 whips, got a 4.40 expected ERA. His last start Thursday. See, this is why with the producer here, I can see the clock and it speeds me up, because I could sit here and wax with you guys for 3 or 4 hours. Let's roll here. Stimmy saying, whenever you and Jose find that, well, it's me finding it fishy and Jose being interested in it, but semantics. Yeah. It's insane, Stimmy, and I need to hammer it each time too. The problem with it was I was going to bet it and then it moved back 20 cents. And it just fucked me all up. But it was fishy, no doubt. And then it came back to no. But I should have trusted it, and that's not quite happened in those fishy lines. But again, I got to keep rolling here. So we have the last start for Noah Cameron: 3 earned runs over 5 innings and a 14-6 win at home versus the Cardinals. I've been waiting for Noah Cameron to step up. I told you guys that I thought we could be ahead of the curve with Brady Singer. And then he just shoved for us. He just delivered for us. I don't know what to do with Noah Cameron. I told you guys today. So Noah Cameron had these 4 really strong starts at the end of May, beginning of June. I was like, oh, he's back. He's back. And then he got lit up by the Astros, and they beat the Cardinals, but he got touched up there. Makes me think, if I say like I did with Sproat, well, I'm done backing him here. I got to let it go. And then Sproat shoves, which just pissed me off so much. I'm afraid to fade Noah Cameron. I can't really understand this 20-cent move immediately towards the Rays, other than the fact that, the Rays are 26-10 at home, and the line opens up at a -125 against the Royals team that's 11 games under 500 on the road. Was the line put at minus 125 just to immediately get action, on the Rays? If it was the case, they would have left it at minus 125. So could I, Stimmy. I love capping with you guys, man. We're a team. We're a team. I've always loved capping with Stimmy, man. So the Rays are not hitting lefties. Why? See, there we go. 3 of his first 6 starts were before 4 p.m. Spooner, thank you. So he's had 2 starts in the afternoon since he's been pitching poorly. Yeah, Soriano. Yeah, no, thank you, Spoons. That is exactly what I thought we would unpeel here. So I love Rod's wacky stats. Don't get me wrong, and they help. They help us all, and his angles help us all. But I thought we could possibly see through that. See what Mark is saying here. Mark says, same story as Seattle today, right? Maybe not as drastic. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Mark. But this one scares me. This one scares me because I could kind of see the optics of George Kirby. I mean, even in the chat. Oh no, that was yeah. But the optics on George Kirby is that he's not pitching well this year, and that would be valid. But I love those back-to-back starts against the Orioles. So I don't So it's got to be based upon Griffin Jax, 3.67 ERA, 1.31 WHIP. Last time we saw him, June 19th, 5 innings, 2 earned runs, solo shots, 5-2 win at home versus the Nationals. He has allowed 2 earned runs over his last 3 starts. This has to be a Griffin Jax situation. Has to be. I mean, I don't know what to do with this immediate 20-cent move, honestly. I need to sit with it because my initial thought process is how on earth could a team that's 26-10 at home open up a minus 125? I mean, it's insane. And then I'm going to have to, this is one of those things I'm just going to have to sit with for a long time after the show. So I don't want to sit here and just wax. This show's taking way too long already. Opening line, insane. Clearly, the move. I can't even. Who cares about a 20-cent move on a team that's 26-10 at home that opens up barely a favorite? So I'm going to need a little bit more time here. Philly Eagle Flyer, I love it, man. Get that cash. Caught England draw live. I love it. Okay, so let's roll on. The next spot on the board here, 6:40 p.m. Eastern, New York Yankees, Detroit Tigers. One of the things that happens when I'm prepping is it's difficult, especially when there's a lot of action going on, to figure out what exactly happened. What exactly happened in the Yankees-Tigers game? I was afraid to back Casey Mize after back-to-back IL stints with the same injury. So I need to study what happened in the game today. On Wednesday, Comerica Park in Detroit, Michigan, we have run-suppressing weather. Minus 7% runs, minus 17% homers, minus 2% doubles and triples, and plus 4% singles. We have Ryan Weathers, 4.13 ERA, 1.13 whips, got a 4.18 expected ERA. He seems like a much, much more consistent pitcher this year. The changeup working, the changeup really, really working, going down and away to righties, helping him out enormously. In saying that, he had 3 bad starts at the end of May and the beginning of June, and he had 4 bad starts, 4 out of 5 bad starts. So what happens in that last start is difficult to explain. 5-1 loss at home versus the White Sox. The way I explain it is the White Sox just aren't hitting lefties like they were, and we shouldn't let a vividness bias kind of seep through it all. But he is just not trustworthy. Not trustworthy. Then we have Tariq Skubal, 3.02 ERA, 1.02 WHIP, 3.62 expected ERA. Thank you, Seaboz. I mean, I wish I was right more often. But Ryan Johnson is quickly becoming Gage Jump. They're quickly becoming my 2 favorite pitchers in Major League. You know what? It just shows so much character, doesn't it? And DeGrom showed a lot of character in his bobblehead night, allowing 5 runs in the first inning and making it through 6. It's different when DeGrom does it than when a 23-year-old does it. But it's fun. It makes it fun. I have so much fun doing this with you guys. It's exhausting, and it takes so much time and energy and focus. But when you reap the rewards, you can't even sit in it because you've got to cap the following day's action. But I do love it, and I'm thankful to cap with you guys. Let's talk about Scooball. I lost on Scooball's last start on Friday. First 5 -1. It's a square ass dumb bet. First 5s -1. Stupid. And he looked okay. 3 earned runs over 5 2/3. Struck out 8, walked 1. So now he's had 2 starts where he's looked okay. He's looked okay. And I wonder. Look, I wonder if maybe we should get used to him looking just good. I mean, he's got to be pretty stressed out, knowing he's on the trade block. He comes back from these loose bodies in his elbow. He's the first pitcher to ever go the nano needle in his elbow. And now, he comes rushing back and he looks okay. He's allowed 3 home runs in these 2 starts. The Yankees are hitting 286, 779 OPS versus lefties. See, the reason why I talk about the Angels without Trout and we talk about the Guardians without Ramirez is because the Yankees lose Judge and they keep hitting right along. I just, every team is a different story and a different breakdown and a different set of angles. But the Yankees have continued to hit. You take Judge out of the lineup, Yankees are hitting lefties a lot harder than the White Sox. You can tell where I'm going with this. Let's take a look at this line history. Now, I shouldn't obviously, I just lost on Scooball. I didn't back him in his first game off the IL, but that's obviously playing in my head. There's been a 5-cent move to the under 7.5 from -115 to -120. The initial move, 10 minutes after the line came out, was towards the over, but then there was buyback immediately. So that all happened within the first 40 minutes this line was available. And then on the money line here, we have a 3-cent move to Scooball. How could Tariq Scooball be -135? Isn't that a little fishy? Tariq Scooball. I mean, it's just fishy, man. It is so fishy to me that he would be such. Now let's take a look at Pinnacle. Now, I mean, when was the last time Tariq Scooball was -135 at home? I mean, this is a spot you probably want to see the market marinate, but he's -140 here at Penny. First 5, he's -149. This is insane. And Spooner says 100 million separating those lineups when you subtract their studs. No, that's very fair. Very, very fair. This line is insane. This line's begging anybody who wants back Tariq Scooball. Can I get someone back Tariq Scooball? Look, I don't want to sit here and back Ryan Weathers, but this is fucking insane. What an insane line. When has Scooball ever been this cheap, man? Insane. Fucking nuts. Okay, I'm going to have to sit with this for longer, but you know where I'm going. We'll have to see. We'll see if this market moves or whatever, but like, how do you not smell tout? Okay, let's roll on. 6:40 p.m. Eastern, our next spot on the. When Dougie White says Yankees probably get to him. I mean, it's a uncomforting thing to say. I mean, he's such a beast. Let's roll on. 6:40 p.m. Eastern. The Seattle Mariners, Pittsburgh Pirates. Mariners 40-39, 18-20 on the road. Pittsburgh Pirates 39-39, 20-19 at home. We're at PNC Park in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. By the way, we have, for those of you guys who've joined us late, we don't have a producer rocking with us right now, so I will add the timestamps to the comment section tonight. It will take a little bit of time, but I used to do it all the time many years ago. So I will add the timestamps. Let's roll, though. Mariners, Pirates. That is our next spot on the board. Brian Wu versus Braxton Ashcraft. Look, Brian Wu's statistical profile is nuts. I know I've been saying nuts and insane a lot, but look at this guy. When he's at home, he allows 0 earned runs. His last 3 home starts, he's allowed a combined total of 0 earned runs. Here he's on the road. His last 3 road starts, he's allowed 16 earned runs. Now, what we should be doing is saying, thank you, Brian Wu, for being so predictable. You make our job much easier. We have Braxton Ashcraft on the other side, 3.18 ERA, 1.10 whip, 2.99 expected ERA, being very good, very consistent. He's had a few bad starts this year. I mean, Tuesday, April 28th, he has a bad start. 6 earned runs over 4 1/3 at home versus Cardinals. And then he allows 1 earned run over his next 14 2/3 combined. Then he has a bad start. 4 earned runs over 6 2/3 at home versus the Phillies. So both those bad starts came at home. And then what's he do? The next 3 starts, he allows 4 earned runs combined over 19 1/3. Then he has a bad start June 6th at the Braves. 6 earned runs over 5 innings. What's he do next? 11 earned runs and 11 innings, 3 earned runs combined. He's pitching at a very high level, and we have Wu back on the road. Are we going to sit back and just expect this from Brian Wu to be terrible on the road and shove at home? Is it just that simple? You know, I think it's important to simplify things in capping, but also when things become too simple, you're like, God. Now Molly in his past, Tyler Molly, who we'll be talking about in the last game of the card in baseball, has done similar things at times in his career. You know, where he's been lights out at home and couldn't do anything on the road. Shout out to the Godfather in the house. So it's a fascinating spot, Mariners Pirates. Let's take a look at Ballpark Pals expectation of PNC Park. Plus 1% runs, minus 13% homers, a plus 2% doubles and triples, and minus 2% singles. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We have 5 cent. Oh, no, a move to the over. This opened up at 7, minus 120 to the over. Now it's 7.5, minus 115 to the over. God, this is such an interesting game. And then we've had a 2-cent move towards the Mariners. Man, you know, I think the move is to fade Brian Wu on the road and to back Braxton Ashcraft. But I would sure like this market to marinate. Let's take a look at the price difference here for the Pirates first 5 full game. Full game at Pinnacle right now, they're minus 113. First 5 minus 114. God, I think the best time to fade Wu on the road is right after he shoves at home, which is what he just did. Look, is it too easy for me just to back the Pirates first 5? Should we wait until the morning and see if there's a price difference? I think that should be the move. I think that should be the move. Let's see what's going on. 4-0 Angels over the Orioles. And they've got 2 runners on with none out. So that's looking very nice here. And then we're through 4 innings in Giants-A's. Giants up 2-1. Okay, let's roll on. Next spot on, and I'm very interested in the Pirates first 5. Next up, 6:45 p.m. Eastern, Philadelphia Phillies, Washington Nationals Park in Washington, District of Columbia. Our move today on the first 5 over. Now I know the full game's sort over, but the first 5 over back in the Nats first 5 was very, very nice. And Mark saying I don't think this is a bad one to wait for. I talking about the Pirates, Mariners. I agree. I mean, it seems like, but in saying that, if I think the best time to fade Wu on the road is after he's phenomenal at home, well, that is this. It would have been spoons. It would have been, but I did lose the first 3 under. That's the new bag. I am on the full game under as well. And I'm on the Giants first 5 -1/2 and fully -1. But yes, it would have been a first 5 sweat for you. Not even 3 years ago. Last year, Spoons. Last year. Oh, no, sorry. 2 years ago. You're right. 2 years ago. What am I saying? Last year was first year. I cut him out. Okay, let's roll. Aaron Nola of the Phillies going up against Miles Michaelis. You want a bum fight? Here we go. Let's take a look at the weather here in Nationals Park. And it's plus 2% runs, so nothing much here. Minus 3% homers, plus 4% doubles and triples, and plus 4% singles. We have Aaron Nola, 3 and 4, 5.71 ERA, 1.48 WHIP. He does have a 4.24 expected ERA. What we did in Nola's last start when we faded him against, I believe, Minaya in the Mets, what we did was we said, you know what maybe we should do is put a line through those 2 starts versus the Padres. The Padres were hitting nothing. One of those games was with the Marine layer in effect. And so if we put a line through those 2 starts, he's not been pitching well. So we faded him against Minaya, and it worked. Now, he wasn't bad. He was pretty good. 2 earned runs over 5 innings, 3 runs overall, but 2 earned runs over 5 innings. He was pretty good. Miles Michaelis, 5.47 ERA, just a 1.28 WHIP, 4.75 expected ERA. They are going to be using an opener for him. The last, 7 appearances now, he has been the primary. And he had been good up until this last start, Friday, June 19th. 5-2 loss at the Rays. Now, he has these blow-up spots. If we go back to the first time he was a primary on May 17th, he allowed 4 runs over 5 2/3. Then he was a primary at Atlanta, and he shoved, didn't allow a run over 5 innings, didn't walk a batter. Then the next primary, 3 2/3, again, doesn't allow an earned run, doesn't walk a batter. Then he gets lit up at home by the Marlins, 6 earned runs over 6 innings, allows 3 jacks. Bounces back, doesn't allow an earned run over 4 2/3 in San Francisco at Oracle. Then the next one was incredible. In Seattle, he just shoves on Sunday, no earned runs over 7 innings. And then he gets touched up for 5 earned runs in the 5-2 loss at the Rays. Phillies versus righties, 237, 727 OPS. Nats versus righties, 242, 733 OPS. What we talked about today is that the Nats should be backed against every lefty in Major League Baseball. And against righties, they're just an average offense. Phillies bullpen 3.53 ERA, 1.22 WHIP. Nats bullpen 4.37 ERA, 1.40 WHIP. So let's move on to the line history here for this one and see if it brings any clarity. 2-cent move to the Phillies from -125 to -127. And then when we get to the total here, taking a second to load. Here we go. When we get to the total, we have a big move to the over from 9 to 9.5. Philly Eagle Flyer on the over in the Phillies game. Now, we talked today about not trust. We've been talking about this quite a bit. Not trusting the first spot that jumps out at you. So what was today's first start that jumped out at everybody? It was the Pirates-Mariners over, and that went way under. I would imagine this would jump out at everybody for an over, and it makes me want to hesitate here. I don't know how I can find an edge here, though. What do you? I don't see an angle here. I see what you guys are seeing in the over. YOLO, nice to have you back in business, man. It's been a while I got YOLO in the house. So, look, I don't see an angle. I understand that this is probably an over that jumped off the page to people. In the last 3 days, I believe it's last 3 days in a row, the overs that have jumped off the page have all gone way under. And I expect Michaelis to bounce back. That's what he's been doing in all of these bad starts. And then, I don't trust Nola, and I certainly don't trust him on the road. In fact, I guess the longer I sit with this game, the more I guess I find. I want to know who's going to be opening for Michaelis. I want to know that someone is opening. I guess I find the Nats somewhat appealing. Look at that price difference. There you go. The Nats are plus 115 full game, but first 5 they're plus 101. Okay, well, there's the story. The Phillies are minus 127 full game, And first 5, they're minus 118. I think the Nats first 5 should be bet. The plus a half is too expensive. That could change. Well. I think the Nats first 5 should be bet. I mean, we'll see if it works, but that's a pretty big price difference here. We were right when we put a line through those two Well, look, it worked. Let's just forget right, but it worked. Putting a line through the Padres starts. And then when we go over to these road games for NOLA, I mean, let's go through them. So we're going to put a line through that start in the with the Marine layer against San Diego team that wasn't hitting. So if we go through the rest of these road games, he has a nice start against the Marlins. And that is, he had a start in San Francisco. So he's had 2 road starts where he's gotten out in the 6th inning. And Mark says that makes sense. His model wants to fade NOLA still. So, yeah. Now, the question is, and it might be prudent to do it, do we want to wait to see who the opener is? Or do we just take advantage of this? Do we know that the Nats are going to use an opener and the books know they're going to use an opener and that's been working more times than it hasn't? But they used Poulin today. So let's just go to bullpen usage and see who the Nats would even have available. So bullpen usage, Nats. So what? I thought Poulin opened. Oh, yeah, he opened today. So they barely used anybody out of their bullpen on Monday. So let's see who they used here tonight. They probably went pretty deep into that bullpen. So let's see. The Nats used Poulin. He was great. It took 8 pitches for Poulin. Maybe he could go again tomorrow. Because look at this, man. I mean, everything was fine with the Poulin Littell back-to-back. It was the Brad Lord came in, allowed 6 earned runs. They just fell apart late. So which of these guys is going to be able to go back-to-back? If Poulin can start, why wouldn't Poulin be able to start again? 8 pitches? And Spooner saying that Schwarber dealing with lower back tightness missed the game today. Look, I think the Nats first 5 should be bet. I think we fade NOLA on the road. Hope that the Nats stay hot and they're angry after that loss. Let's roll on. Astros, Blue Jays. We're at the Rogers Center in Toronto, Ontario. I expect the roof to be open, very light. There's a couple spots where there's 10% chance of precipitation. There's no rain expected in the forecast. I should probably double check this here quickly. I get a better on my phone for whatever reason. Yeah, it's a nice day tomorrow. I mean, it is cloudy, but that shouldn't stop that game from having the roof open. So we expect the roof to be open. Let's take a look at Ballpark Pal here and see their expectations for Rogers Center tomorrow. And it is a slightly run. Oh, wow, it's changed. Huh. When I looked at this earlier, this was run suppressing weather maybe 5 or 6 hours ago. You got to keep refreshing Ballpark Pals. Of course, weather changes. Plus 1% runs, plus 5% homers, plus 5% doubles and triples, and minus 2% singles. Spooner, I know you were looking at Ballpark Pal. That's a pretty big difference, don't you think, from the Roger? What we saw from what we were looking at from the Rogers Center about 4 hours ago or so. We have Mike Burrows, the Bulldog, going up against 21 Savage, and Burrows 5.79 ERA, 1.58 WHIPs, got a 4.64 expected ERA. I like him. I like his story. I like the way he's earned this opportunity to pitch in Major League Baseball. But he was getting lit up in June. In June, he's had 3 starts. Let the grind continue, light cheese. That's beautifully put, my friend. And Mark says it's Poulin I'm reading. Yeah, it took 8 pitches. I think that's the bet. I think we just had to unpeel and unpeel and unpeel. It's Nats first 5. Not a plus a half. It's too much big. Just straight up Nats first 5. So in these 3 starts in June 2nd, he allows 5 earned runs over 5 innings, 10-6 loss at home versus the Pirates. Then June 7th, 4 earned runs over 5 innings and 5-0 loss at home versus the A's. And then June 13th, 4 earned runs over 5 innings, 8-7 win at the Royals. So we're sitting here allowing 13 earned runs over 15 innings, and surprise, surprise, he pitches out of the bullpen last week. Doesn't get a chance to start. Now here he is getting a chance to start. I'm not sure if he was dealing with any kind of arm fatigue, but he basically got, an extra week off. Pitched 1 inning, 1 hit, 1 strikeout. Trey Savage, 3.76 ERA, 1.16 whips, got a 2.95 expected ERA. I faded him last week, and I let the market do it, and I shouldn't have. He's somebody who gets up for big starts, and I don't know if you guys saw the game today in Toronto, but it's a weird start time for us, 4 p.m., sold out, of course. The fans are just in droves going to Blue Jays games right now. And the Astros are, an interesting team to go up against. Shout out to Todd Clinton in the house. Yeah, I got hurt badly, Todd, in the CFL. Badly, but, the totals just destroyed me. But I'll tell you what, I do really like my card this week, and I've not moved on any totals at this point. And I expect to bounce back for myself. So let me just give you my action here quickly. Here, just because anybody who followed my action took a bath. Okay, God, I got to free up space on my iCloud drive. Oh my God. Okay, I can tell you what I'm on though. I got the BC Lions minus 2.5, and I bet them double result at plus 130. I got the Argos plus 5.5, and I'm on the Elks plus 3.5. So 5.5 with the Argos, 3.5 with the Elks, minus 2.5 with the Lions, and the Lions double result. My computer's a mess right now. I gotta maybe get a new one or something. I don't know. So let's get back to business here. And yeah, Todd, I feel terrible. But look, it's early in the CFL season. We've had back-to-back years with double-digit ROIs. I've never done that in the sport before. Now it's easier in the sport with less games, obviously. Not at 800 bets like I'm in baseball. Back to Savage, though. Savage was a beast at the Red Sox. And he would have been taken out of the game, allowing 1 earned run. But our bullpen was in dire straits. They needed him to go deep, and he allowed 2 home runs in the 8th inning. And that won't be necessary here. And they put him in a tough spot. So I think that just keep that in mind when we look at his last start. Now, look, that's 3 starts in a row that he's being touched, but he was phenomenal in that last start. So let's put a line through it. It's those starts June 5th at home versus the Orioles, 6 earned runs over 5 2/3, and then at home versus the Yankees, 5 earned runs over 5 innings. It shouldn't stop any of us from really believing in Trey Savage. They shouldn't. And Spooner saying, yeah, that's weird. It is weird, isn't it? Now, Spoons and I talk a lot about everything involved with, gambling all the time. But I believe that when the roof is open, that the ball soars. And it's just my own bias. And I believe it soars more than these ballpark pal indicate. And the ball's pretty dead when the roof is closed. And I'm very hesitant to bet any unders when the roof is open. And now we've just seen a pretty big change in ballpark pal. Yeah, let's get it, Todd. I did not help. I mean, I lost 2 games in overtime. There was a lot of things that just didn't go my way, which was very upsetting. But back to business here. Astros versus Righties, 236, 734 OPS. Jays versus Righties, 287, 807 OPS. They're hitting them hard. Astros bullpen is very good. Jays bullpen is okay. Okay. Let's take a look at the line history here for this Jays spot. We've had a 5-cent move to the under. It's basically 8.5 for the pick 'em. And then on the money line here, we have, oh, shit. Get rid of this, okay. Okay, here we go. Sorry, my computer's acting up. On the money line, we've had a 9-cent move towards the Astros, which we saw happen right off the hop. It happened 20 minutes after this line was available. Mark Sosowski's on the over 8.5 here in this one. Interesting. So let's go to the price difference. Price difference for first 5 and full game. We have the Jays minus 152 full game. First 5 minus 154. I'm going to need some time. I'm going to need some time on this one. Because I think Savage is going to pitch well. And that would mean I would need to trust Burrows if I wanted unders, which I probably don't with the roof open. I think the better thing would be just to focus on Savage. And I think that he's better than the numbers indicate. In saying that Burrows is pitching for his job, I could just stay off of this one, honestly. I'm just going to need a little more time on it. Let's roll on. Next spot on the board for 7:10 p.m. Eastern, the Milwaukee Brewers, Cincinnati Reds. We're at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, Ohio, where the Reds are 19-19 at home. Those that record was before tonight. I put it in the afternoon, so some things. So now 19-20 at home. Let's get into the weather at Great American Ballpark to get us started. We have plus 10% runs, plus 15% homers, plus 4% doubles and triples, and minus 2% singles. And Mark talking about Houston's numbers against right-handed pitching last 14 days. That's interesting because last 30 days, what are they? What are they? Because I've got, guys know I like a little more sample size for me. And the last 30 days is not telling that story. But let's roll here. We got Sharpie in the house. Says Robbie Ray, Sandy Alcantara having them a day. WBC atmosphere for Sandy. Yeah, I just wish Port Dopes Cal Quantrill got a little more time, man. Got a little more time. That's what I wish, man. But yeah, Robbie Ray shoving. And I know you were very high on Alcantara as you jumped in our chat, which was great, Sharpie. We love having you in the chat. And for those of you who love pitching props, Sharpie is the guy, man. And check out his channel, The Odds Bunch. It's he does great work. I jump on it when I listen. As a audience member, as a fan, I watch when I can. Let's go with Shane Drohan, the lefty, 5th round pick in 2020 by the Red Sox out of Florida State. 3.40 ERA, 1.17 whips. Got a 3.14 expected ERA. Look, Drohan at times has looked really good, and he looked very good when he came up. In AAA this year, he was only there for a cup of coffee, 13 2/3, and 17 strikeouts. Immediately got called up, and then he looked very strong. I mean, the first time he allowed more than 2 earned runs was June 7th. That was in the thin air, Colorado. He allowed 3 earned runs over 6 1/3. It was another great start. And then he got touched up at home versus the Phillies, 4 earned runs over 5 innings. And he bounced back nicely versus the Guardians, but it's pretty easy. Pretty easy to take care of the Guardians. Let's talk about Rhett Lauder. Elio, my man Topset, warned me not to believe that Rhett Lauder could get me 9 outs in that last start versus the Yankees. And he didn't. Now, he battled to stay in the game, but he'd had 2 really good starts after coming back off the IL. And then, he had a tough first couple innings against the Yankees. Look, he's the 7th overall pick. I really think that he's going to be a beast. But we don't really know who the hell he is. We didn't see him in 2025. Started with the right forearm strain, and then the left oblique strain, and then the shoulder issue. He had to pitch in the Arizona Fall League just to get some innings. And sometimes I use the eye test with Rhett Lauder. I'm like, oh, this guy's going to be a monster. But the eye test isn't what we need all the time. Sharpie says the zone contact is not on here. So let's roll. Let's hammer this a little more. I got to get rid of a couple of these things here. My computer's flipping out, and I don't have a producer to lean back on. So Brewers versus righties, 256, 776 OPS. The Reds, as you guys know, have been raking lefties. 255, 774 OPS. Their numbers have dropped slightly, but they've been raking lefties. Both the Brewers bullpens all of a sudden looking ordinary. Now, we know that happens over the course of a 162-game season, that, the ebb and flow. But 4.10 ERA, 1.27 whip, still okay. Reds bullpen's pitching much better. Remember, this was the laughing stock of the league. Now 4.44 ERA, 1.45 whip over the last 30 days. Let's get into the line history here for this spot. We have a 5-cent move to the Milwaukee Brewers, minus 135 to minus 140. And then from a total standpoint here, we have a sitting here at 9 at minus 115, just sitting there. Huh. Look, I like Rhett Lauder. And, something's telling me to believe him or to trust in him here. And then, obviously, my subconscious is saying, look, you just lost on him. Don't go back to the well. Don't be an idiot. I want to go a little deeper into Rhett here. Shouldn't he be able to deliver? I mean, was that start so bad against the Yankees? I mean, basically, he allows 4 earned runs in that second inning. Couple home runs, 4 runs, 2 home runs. He's going up against Schlittler, who's a Yankee Stadium, and then he bounced back and pitched. I'm going to need more time on this, but we know that the Reds are hitting lefties. Now they got Dela Cruz back in the lineup. I wonder if they are live. So that total sitting at 9 minus 115. I'm going to need more time. With this one. Let's roll on. Next spot on the board, LA Dodgers, Minnesota Twins. Now, again, I got to stop making this mistake. I thought that the fact that they moved Joe Ryan back a start was that it was the fact that the game was going to be rained out. And I was wrong. Because if that was the case, then Joe Ryan would be pitching here. And he is now. Okay, this has changed. Okay, now we have Joe Ryan listed. Let me just quickly go over to a couple books here and see if the books are listing Joe Ryan. Well, this is what we want. Don't we want Joe Ryan versus Shohei Ohtani? Isn't this exactly what we want? Here we go. Let's just see if the books are listing Joe Ryan. I do not. I mean, come on. Connor Prelip looks so vulnerable right now. And Joe Ryan's listed at the books. Okay, beautiful. This is what we want, man. This is what we want. So I'm going to have to pull up Tuesday's worksheet and go over our guy, Joe Ryan. Don't you think that Joe Ryan could go pitch for pitch with Shohei Ohtani tomorrow? But what I was lamenting on was that I should have, I thought the game was going to be rained out, but we should have just backed the Dodgers at that. We could have got in earlier. I mean, that line was moving nonstop towards the Dodgers, but even if the rain was going to hold, because remember there was 2 big rainfalls, one early and then one late, and then there was light rain in between. But if the game was going to go, we did enough due diligence on the cap. I just really thought the game wouldn't go. What do I know about what the weather's going to do? I mean, it was just stupid. Let's talk about Joe Ryan, 3-3, 3.02 ERA, 0.98, 0.97 whip. He's got 2.87 expected ERA. He had the weird elbow soreness thing where he only pitched a third of an inning back on May 3rd. But since then, he's been shoving. He's been delivering. And, just consistency. Over and over and over. And going up, we thought, going up against Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani top set with the Dodgers first 5 minus a half. Ohtani 1.47 ERA, 0.88 whip, got 2.70 expected ERA. Last start, he allowed 4 earned runs at home versus the Rays. Start before that, he allowed 3 earned runs at the Pirates. I mean, doesn't regression wait for no man, including the greatest baseball player of our generation and maybe of any? I mean, isn't it possible? Maybe he's dealing with a little arm fatigue. I want Joe Ryan here. I think Joe Ryan can go pitch for pitch. Total wise, we've seen a 30-cent move towards the under. Now, that could possibly be predicated on the fact that Prelip was listed early, but I don't know if. Then it is. It is because this was Prelip until, after, 8:30 p.m., Joe Ryan's listed at the books, and it moves 26 cents. So I don't think we should get too caught up in that move. I think this is basically the opening line for this is minus 171 for the Dodgers and plus 154 for the Twins. So, and thank you for that, AM. I will copy and paste that in a second. Then we have a nice opportunity, I would assume. Let's take a look here what Penny is offering here. So I'm going to look at the difference in price for the first 5. Now, we know there'll be a big difference. The Twins are also annihilating righties. No, you say the same thing about the Dodgers, but Twins are hitting 287, 824 OPS versus righties. I mean, that is very, very, very impressive. So I know the Dodgers are hitting righties slightly harder, but at least you have a team that can go bat for bat. So the Twins are plus 157 full game, and first 5 plus 134. So Elio can get Ohtani first 5 minus a half at minus 107. And I can get Joe Ryan plus a half at minus 111. Now, Topset said he's getting ahead of the public. I think that makes sense. I think that I should wait on this. And if it moves in my direction, then, obviously it's just a must bet. So right now, the Twins first 5 plus a half is minus 111. We'll see what it is in the morning. Shouldn't it be, shouldn't Ohtani be favored first 5 minus a half over the Twins first 5 plus a half? Philly Eagle Flyer says first 3 under. Look, if now we'll look at the price right now. But if Ohtani is somewhat shaky, I mean, would 2-2 after 3 innings be a shock to anybody? I don't think it would be. Let's just take a quick look here at what that first 3 is. So, and let's take a guess. It's 8 minus 120 to the under. We know that there's bullpen issues for the Twins. So this should be very expensive first 3 under. I think it should be minus 140. Minus 140 at a minimum. I would probably put it at minus 145 and see if the Sharps move it. And it's minus 160. No, I don't want the first 3 under Philly Eagle Flyer. These teams are hitting too hard. They're hitting too hard. For those first 3 unders, I kind of want everything to correlate. No, I want to back Joe Ryan. Let's see what Joe Ryan first 3 plus a half would be. Minus 150. God, doesn't that seem like a smash and grab? Get 9 outs. Can Joe Ryan go through the lineup one time? Of course he can. Isn't he going to be excited going up against this? John Preston says, need more runs in this A's game. Johnny Preston, my friend, we're a bunch of us, Nufflush, Allen, myself, and I think Spoons as well. We're all on the under. Yeah, Spoons. We're all on the under in that one. Like the A's numbers versus lefties, they're steroid numbers. I mean, we can't count Summerlin, and we can barely count Sacramento. But I will know that if more runs are scored and I lose, then you will win, Johnny, which will give me something. Well, look, I want Joe Ryan. If you're going to give me plus anything with Joe Ryan, I'm going to take it against Shohei Ohtani. No, we'll see, Johnny. There's lots of game left. These are 2 bad bullpens, so lots of time left. Let's roll on. Okay. He said Houston's top third. My model was overvaluing them, but bullpens are dead, so over is the play still. Yes, Dougie, I'm on the Giants. First 5 -1/2 and full game -1. I have 4 bets in that game. I'm heavily invested in that game. All right, let's roll on here. We have 22-year-old Mitch Bratt pitching for the Arizona Diamondbacks. We are very excited about that up here. Like Jonah Tong, Mitch Bratt is from about 20 minutes away, 15 minutes away from where I live right now, just a little bit north. And Mitch Bratt is an absolute monster. Just a 22-year-old beast. In AAA Reno, we know how hard it is to pitch in AAA Reno. You're sitting there 4,500 feet in elevation. So you're breaking pitches or not breaking. Then you have the dry desert air. I mean, it's just a hitter's playland. And this is what Mitch Bratt has done in Reno in these conditions. 2.84 ERA and a 0.95 whip. In one of the easiest places to hit home runs in North America, or I should say in America, because we know that Mexico City is pretty easy. In America, he allowed 4 home runs in 44 1/3. The guy is an absolute monster. But it's always difficult having your first major league opportunity, especially when you're 22 years old. Jerry Davis in the house. What up, Jerry? So Mitch Bratt is a beast. But this is tricky. Going up against Matthew Liberatore and the St. Louis Cardinals. A Liberatore, 5.23 ERA, 1.56 whip. Now, look, Mitch Bratt is 22. But, Liberatore should be shining his shoes. Mitch Bratt is so much more than Liberatore. Let's talk about Liberatore's last few starts. Now, he probably has a possible bounce back here. 5 earned runs in 1 2/3 in his last start at the Royals. But I was saying that the Diamondbacks are hitting lefties hard. I thought they were hitting lefties harder than this. 247, 720 OPS. I thought they were hitting harder. I thought the Diamondbacks were hitting harder than the Cards against lefties, but that's not the case. Cards 261, 736 OPS. Bullpens are sort of a wash. Now, yes, we could expect a bounce back spot from Liberatore, but I mean, now we're at 12 earned runs over his last 3 starts, 5 home runs allowed, and he's going up against Mitch Bratt. Obviously, you guys can tell just from the way I'm talking that I want to back Mitch Bratt, but I did want to talk it out first. Let's talk about a Busch Stadium. It's not run suppressing tomorrow. -4% runs, -6% homers, -1% doubles, triples, and +3% singles. We get into the line history here for Mitch Bratt and the Diamondbacks. They're +102. No movement. And then on the total here, we have a 10-cent move to the over. 8.5 -120 to 8.5 -130. So let's let Penny see if they can see. Come on. Can you give me a reason? Let me know that I should back Mitch Bratt, and they don't even have the game up. Are we sure that it's Mitch Bratt? What does RotoWire have here? Yeah, they have Mitch Bratt. Because they're scared. Because we should back Mitch Bratt. Todd Clinton says, wish I would have played the Liberty night. They're taking it to the Aces. I guess it's not that big of a surprise. Coming off of 2 losses, I should have trusted that here. I should have trusted that. But again, I kind of wanted to wait a week because they're playing again in that Commissioner's Cup, which would mean that the Aces are kind of letting this one go and they're going to smash them in the Commissioner's Cup. But here, look, I want Mitch Bratt. I want Mitch Bratt first 5. I want in on Mitch Bratt. I want to fade Liberatore, but I think it's very possible Liberatore has a bounce back spot. But is it good enough to slow down 22-year-old Mitch Bratt? Look, this kid's a monster. I don't think Jonah Tong is a monster. I don't know what Jonah Tong is a bit of an enigma. This kid isn't. Yes, it opened up at a 1.5 and it closed 2.5 for 3, John. Okay, so let's roll on. Next spot on the board, 8:40 p.m. Eastern, Atlanta Braves, San Diego Padres. We're at Petco Park in San Diego, California. And Petco Park doesn't really have the marine layer in effect. Minus 4% runs, minus 1% homers, minus 7% doubles, triples, and minus 5% singles. Jerry, you'll find out tomorrow, my man. He is he's certainly the most highly thought of young pitcher in the country up here. So I like him. What can I say? I like him. 40 kid in the house. What up, 40 kid? Okay, so and 2-0. Look at that. Look at, of course, YOLO says it's going to happen, man. All right, we have Martin Perez, the lefty, going up against Randy Vasquez. I imagine Spoon's got to get ready for his show that's popping off here shortly. But I was very interested to hear his thoughts on Randy Vasquez because to me it seems like Randy Vasquez is back to the gas can that he once was. You know, the problem is the Braves are hitting nothing. The Braves sticks have disappeared. Oh, no goal. That's what we're saying here. Okay, well, you guys can let us know. Let us know. Back to business here. Randy Vasquez looks like what his expected ERA is 6.49. He's got a 4.17 ERA, 1.4 whip, 6.49 expected ERA. He does not look good. In his last, look at these starts. I mean, in his last 6 starts, he's allowed 21 earned runs. I guess 6 makes it look different. In his last 3 starts, he's allowed 12 earned runs. I guess that doesn't even sound that bad. In his last 3 starts, how about this? In 12 and a third, he's allowed 22 hits. He does not look good, but the Braves bats can't do anything. Maybe this is a spot for him for the bounce back. And then we have the lefty on the hill in Martin Perez, whom I believe in very much. 2.78 ERA, 1.07 whip, 3.90 expected ERA. Now, of course, Martin Perez can get picked up, for a bag of baseballs in the offseason every year. But he gets soft contact. And his last 2 starts being very good. At home versus the Brewers, we know the Brewers rake against lefties. At the Mets, you put those 2 starts combined, 11 and a third with 2 earned runs. Oh my God, is Colorado taking over late? Ugh. And I lose 2 units. That would is that game? Oh no, sorry, you're talking about. Sorry, I thought you meant that happened here. I thought you were saying that's happening tonight. Back to business here. Look, I think Vasquez should be faded, but maybe you can't trust the Braves sticks to deliver, but then they're delivering right now. And maybe this is the wake-up call that the Braves needed. Up 6-5. So maybe they can carry this over to tomorrow. Let's see what the line history says for this one. Oh, and now we got Sears pitching. What does RotoWire say? Oh, it's JP Sears now. Wow, okay, it's JP Sears. Okay, shit. Sorry, everything I said about Vasquez. I'm going to need some time to go to double down here on this one. And it's not Randy anymore, Spoons. That's JP Sears. What do you think when you deep dive with Mitch Brad, man? He's a beast. So it's JP Series. Look, I'm not going to do this on the fly. We're an hour and 45 minutes into the show, and we're trying to keep them at least below 2 hours. So I'm going to have to move past this one and reconvene in the morning with JP Sears going up against Martin Perez. Let's talk about the last spot on the board. I bet this twice. I was astonished here, and this is the way I see it. If this line for the Athletics Giants game is exceedingly low, if it's a very low line, and it opened, I got Gage jump first 5 minus 124. I mean, just very, very low. The first 3 cost me more, cost me minus 135, but that's because I used Bet365 for the first 3s. Penny doesn't have first 3s. They had the minus 135 for the first 3 and minus 140 for the first 5. Pinnacle had minus 124 for the first 3. So the way I see it is if this stays at that number. So right now it's minus 123 full game for the A's at at Penny minus 124 first 5 sitting there. You can get the A's first 5 minus half plus 113. If this stays at this number, it is telling us that Tyler Mahle is going to shove or pitch really well. Maybe shoves a little much. We have Tyler Mahle coming off a left hamstring strain, so he's coming off the IL. Also, he was very wild in his only rehab start. 5 walks over 3 innings, threw 63 pitches, so I'm sure, there's not going to be a full workload or anything for him. But that's the way I see this game. Because we know that Gage Jump is an absolute monster. We know that he's going to be the ace in this team's rotation for hopefully a long, long time. Hopefully he is the opening day starter in their first game in Vegas. He has looked so good. In that last start, 5-0 win at home over the Angels was the piece de resistance. Tyler Mahle, Johnny, you were friends with Wine Time, grew up playing baseball with Wine Time. You're going to be in pitcher for a long time. And he's got a 6.04 ERA, 1.54 whip before he went on the IL. He's got a 4.14 expected ERA. But this is the way I took it. I was like, go bet right now. Gage Jump. Now, again, I didn't want to triple up. When it comes to the bullpen, it's just they're both volatile. Giants bullpen has been terrible. So is the A's bullpen. And the Giants are hitting lefties very hard. Well, prove it. Prove it against Gage Jump. So the way I see this is if we wake up tomorrow and this line isn't moved 15 or 20 cents in my direction, it's telling us to bet the unders. It's pretty simple. 40 Kid says, take Gage Jump over Ks till the books adjust. He's been climbing with the K totals last few starts. I think he can still get over 5.5 Ks, says our guy, 40 Kid. Let's take a look here, too, at what the weather is supposed to be at Oracle tomorrow. Minus 9% runs, minus 28% homers, plus 8% doubles and triples, and plus 3% singles. So let's go and see what the line history is for the total. It's moving towards the over. Again, look, I'm going to bet Gage Jump every single chance, every time he starts first 3, first 5, until I'm priced out. And I believe if there's ever a line that's moving away from Gage Jump, it means that the other pitcher is going to pitch really well, and we bet the unders. See, clean, simple, easy. Nice job. Dougie Y is going to sweep the board here. And John Preston says, coming off injury, bad play versus A's Gage. If it were only that easy, John. If it were only that easy. Now, John, I do think one of the first lessons that Pete taught me like 9 years ago was that when pitchers, especially veteran pitchers, come off the IL for a non-arm related injury, it's a nice break for them. Some of them deal with arm fatigue. And this was not. It was a left hamstring strain. And if we wanted to go back to last year's numbers, for Tyler Mahle, now he threw 86 2/3. But he had a 2.18 ERA and a 1.13 whip. And now he's at Oracle, which is a great park for him. So that's the way I'm betting it. I'm on the A's first 3 and first 5. And if this line doesn't move, it will be unders for me for Tyler Mahle. All right, let's do a quick review of MLB, and then we're going to go briskly through the WNBA card here. So I'm interested in unders in Rangers Marlins. Then we want to know who's starting exactly for Cubs Mets. So we'll hammer that in the morning with Jose Bouquet. I'm already on the under 8.5 minus 110 in Guardians White Sox. John Preston says, I just can't assume Tyler goes 6. No, I wouldn't either. No, that's valid. But he can go through 5. And Spooner says the fastball velocity is an eye-popping. I think people will fade him, average 92 mile per hour on it. He has eye-popping control numbers. If the line moves against him, I won't be scared, but this isn't the best price. I'm very comfortable with the whole situation. Very, very comfortable. 40 Kid, don't beat yourself up for it, but it's just very tricky when a team is going to play again in 1 week for a cash in the Commissioner's Cup. It would, we knew that the Aces were going to hide different aspects of their defense and that Liberty would as well. It's just a tricky spot, that's all. Jerry Davis said the over 7.5 Miami is the first bet that he made. So I'm not going to double down on Red Sox Rockies under, but I'm interested in either a first 3 or a first 5 under. Jerry is on the under. Excuse me, the over 7.5 is the first bet he made. It's important info for me, Jerry. So I'll copy and paste it just to make sure that I have the conviction to be up on the other side of it. But I am interested in backing Yuri Perez. Here again, it's not an arm injury. He got up to 99. I think he probably needed the reset. I kind of like DeGrom's bounce back after allowing the 5 runs in the first inning on his bobblehead night. So then I'm on the under in that Guardians White Sox spot already. As I said, I want under either first 3 or first 5 in Red Sox Rockies. That's the Suarez start. Suarez, Freeland. God, Freeland's going to screw it up. I know it. I'm moving on the Orioles tonight and Trey Gibson. I'm moving on tonight. First 5 in full game. Then the opening line's insane in Royals Tampa. Minus 125 for a team that's 26-10 at home. Who cares if it moved 20 cents, honestly? And then the opening line's insane for Scooball. Only minus 135. I cannot wait to see what these lines are tomorrow. Then I want the Pirates first 5. I want Ashcraft. I want Ashcraft at home against Wu on the road. Simple. And then I want the Nats first 5. I'll be moving on that this evening. I need to sit with the Savage start for a little longer. I want to back them. I need more time for the Johan Lauder start. And then Twins first 5 the first 3 plus a half is probably too expensive. But I think the main thing here is to wait. Like Elio said, Elio wants Ohtani first 5 minus a half, and being on the other side of Elio is not being a good place to be. But I do think I have the conviction. Diamondbacks. So I can't wait to see what this line is, and maybe we should let the line fester a bit. No, I don't think you should stop overthinking the splits. I don't think you should ever be comfortable with the public. Ever. So I think that's all. I think that you should focus heavily on splits. I've always believed that. And if you are on a public side, you better have enormous conviction. Because we know what happens to the public. They take a bath, they lose their shirt, they end up in a ditch. So if you're going to be on the public, which I am at times, it's because I have enormous conviction in the spot. You should always, kind of head towards fading the public. So then Braves, Padres. Now JP Sears is pitching. I've got to do it once over again. And then I'm already on the Athletics first 3 and first 5. And again, if this line doesn't move, I'll be on unders. But they'll just be first 3 and first 5 unders. All right, let's talk WNBA. We got a very interesting slate here. We got to work very quickly here. We don't have time. So, but let's get into the WNBA. We have 2 of these games. These teams just saw each other. And the first one, Phoenix Mercury, Indiana Fever. We're at Cambridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana. You know what it is setting you up, though, 440 kid? It's to bet the Aces in New York for the Commissioner's Cup. Even though I'll probably just be on Operation Garcia. So this is a rematch of the 86-77 Fever victory here in Indianapolis on Monday night. Win snapped a 2-game losing streak for the Fever. Was the 5th loss, 6 games for the Mercury. And it was a wild night. The Fever scored 6 points in the first quarter. Tied for its fewest, in any quarter since 2018, and its fewest in the first quarter since 2016. Then the Fever put up 35 in the second, didn't look back. Caitlin Clark scored 15 in the second quarter. They outscored the Mercury 65-33 over the second and third quarters. Caitlin Clark had 24 points and 9 assists. She has the most consecutive 20.5 assist games in WNBA history with 6. Kelsey Mitchell scored 22 points. Monique Billings went for 14 and 10. That's her first double-double of the year. And then Aaliyah Boston was held to just 8 points, 2 and 9 shooting, but it didn't matter. Kalia Copper went for 20. Alyssa Thomas went for 19, 5 and 9. Alyssa Thomas rolling, man. She became the fastest player in WNBA history to record 500 assists with a franchise. Did it in 4 fewer games than Caitlin Clark. Let's get into the line history here for this one. And I've not moved on any of these spots as of yet. So let's just move over. Here we go. So we've had a 1.5 move towards the Fever. They opened up at 6. This got up to an 8.5. Now it's back at 7.5. My initial thought was to, back the team that lost in the game one. And I did I think 40 kid. I think it's a little different with the WNBA, NBA, NHL, just because you generally have more than a day. Off like in baseball we're going every single day, so we don't have enough time for that market to really marinate cash wise. But we do in WNBA, we do in NBA, we do in NHL, we certainly do in football. I think this is the way you should take it, 40 kid, honestly. And again, however you want, but I think that you should always want to be on the other side of the public, generally speaking. And if you're going to be on the public side, you must have enormous conviction to be with these louts who we know are going to lose their shirt. Don't forget, less than 1% of accounts at sports books are in the black. So my initial thought was to fade Indiana, but the game was so wild. The game was so insane that it's just going to take me a little bit more time. I do like the buyback on the Mercury. I think the Mercury can play in this game. I believe in the Mercury. I think they're a team that we want to back right now. And we had a 1-0 final, says our guy Philly Eagle Flyer. And so I'm going to need more time, but the Mercury still have some appeal. I wonder if the board is available. Why don't we just take a quick look at the board here? I imagine that we'll be able to see some cash flow. So let's just take a quick look over here, and then we can move past it. So we have 67% of tickets and 87% of cash on the Fever, 90% of tickets and 80% cash on the over. Yeah, I would like to fade the Fever. I'd be curious to see where this ends up. AM says that his line is 7.6, so he is off it entirely. Or we'll see what happens here. I said, AM, that I was going to copy. Oh, there we go. Lynx minus 8.5, Fire plus 3, and Dream minus 1.5 for our guy AM. I had to copy and paste that. Let me put that right here under the WNBA. Thank you for sharing that with us. I'm interested in the Mercury, though. Be interesting to see where this line ends up. Next spot, Minnesota Lynx at Washington Mystics. Lynx 13-4, 7-1 on the road. Mystics 8-7, 2-3 at home. We're at Care First Arena in Washington, D.C. Well, people lost their shirt when these two teams met. The Mystics stepped up. I like this Mystics team. They've now won 3 straight games all on the road. Now they go home, and they're probably just going to get wrecked by the Minnesota Lynx. When I first looked at this 8.5, it took me a while. Like I just wasn't. I was being so caught up in MLB. I was like, God, I don't know if I can. So this line came out at 7:45 this morning at 6.5, moved to 7, moved to 7.5, now at 8.5, and the 8.5 is juice to the Lynx. I think we should probably trust it. I think the Lynx probably picked their number. And I had this jealousy right off the hop. I had jealousy. And Jerry says, I think I'm playing the over. Says, can't see them shooting 20 and 28 from 3 again. That's fair. All 40 kid, we are all in the same boat, man. We're all just trying to get better together, working together as a team. So I feel the same way. When we get to this Mystics Lynx spot, I should get over the fact that I'm just so caught up in baseball right now. Just get over it. Yes, I missed the line. But this is an angry Lynx squad that will pick their number against the Mystics. I also wonder if we should back them early. Like a first half and a full game. We don't even need the first quarter, just the first half and a full game. I got to get over this jealousy of missing the line. I'm very jealous of basketball cappers, who focus on that sport alone. It's a wonderful opportunity to beat the books while we're here like barely sleeping and battling the analytics of baseball. I think the Lynx should just be backed. I think I should just get over it. Let's just touch on what happened in that last game. The Lynx were comfortably ahead at halftime. The Mystics just took over on the road, which is something that we almost never see. 12-0 run in the fourth quarter. The Lynx went 4 of 21 from 3. It was just one of those games, and they should be back. They should be back big. Jerry Davis saying Lynx 14-3 against the number. Damn. And then AM says he's got this Lynx at minus 12.4. Let's talk about Portland Fire, Chicago Sky. That is game 3 of a 4-game WNBA slate. We're still having a great year in WNBA. The Portland's starting to deal with some injuries. We haven't seen them having to deal with injuries. Of course, the Sky have been without Rakea Jackson for a long time. The Sky are coming off almost a 29-point loss at Connecticut. Now, we were on Connecticut, which is all well and good. And Portland Fire are coming off a win over the Storm when they were coming off a similar loss to the Lynx. I think that means that we should just plug our nose and bet the Chicago Sky here at home off this horrible, horrible loss. That's what I think we should do. Now, AM has this Fire minus 1.1, and he's on the Fire plus 3. I think you're in a fine spot. But situationally, I like this a lot. If we look at the Sky's last 2 home games, they've gone up against the Atlanta Dream and the New York Liberty, teams that are head and shoulders above the Portland Fire. They almost won both of those games. I think this is a great buy low opportunity on the Chicago Sky team that just got crushed, which was the same buy low opportunity on the Portland Fire after they got destroyed by the Lynx. I think these are the exact same things happening here. The Chicago Sky opened up at minus 1.5, and they're now minus 3. I think we need to trust that. Trust that move towards the Sky. It's not going to be comfortable. Chicago Sky are not a good basketball team. It's not going to be a sit back and relax. Shout out to my man AOD in the house. So, yeah, I think this Sky should be bet. I think these bets should be made tonight. Now, I bet you the Lynx game closes at 10 or something, But there's possible buyback. Oh, thank you, Mark A. We cashed all 3 bets in that game. I'll have to look at things, but it's not out of the realm of possibilities that we have a 7 or 8 unit night and we're in the black overall in the season when we wake up. But again, I can handle that on my own time. Jerry Davis first half minus 115 on this guy. Just bet it. That's a very solid look. I'm not going to double down. I'm just going to focus on the full game. But I get that and respect it, Jerry. Okay, let's talk about the last spot on the board here. It is Dream versus the Valkyries. The Atlanta Dream have now won 4 straight games. It was funny, they annihilate Toronto Tempo in the first quarter, and I was on the Tempo first quarter, and then they let the Tempo come back in the game. They just took their foot off the gas. I think you can give them an excuse. I thought they wouldn't really show up against Toronto early and still have enough to win the game. But I really messed the whole thing up by backing the Tempo first quarter, by getting too cute. The Valkyries are coming off getting destroyed by Vegas. I had them against the Lynx, but I also had them against Dallas. They're an easy team to back, the Valkyries here. We didn't look at the cash flow. I'd like to see the cash flow for that Portland Chicago game. 93% of tickets, 91% of cash on Chicago. That's insanely public. I find it very hard to believe it stays that public. Very hard to believe. Here we have 89% of tickets and 89% of cash on the Atlanta Dream. I would like to fade that. I would like to back the Valkyries, but fading Atlanta is not good for your health. This opened up at plus 1.5 and then moved to plus 1 after 40 minutes and then back to plus 2. That happened tonight before the show started. Then from a total side of things here, we have a 166.5 down to 164.5. I think that it's possible that Atlanta is just too good. I think that's possible. That they're just too good that they can choose when to turn it on. And I'll be interested to see what happens with this line, what happens with this cash flow. I'd love to tell you here, I'm going to be on the Valkyries. They're going to bounce back at home. But the Dream are dangerous, man. They're just a dangerous group, and I think I'd probably rather stay off than fade them. So we'll cap this again in the morning. That is our show for today. We have crossed midnight. Sorry that it was just us solo. We didn't have a producer. So, and again, the time stamping takes some time. I should do it now, but I've got to get my action in. Other things. Mark A says Golden State Valkyries plus 2.5. Look, I get it, Mark. I completely get it, and I lean to that side. It's just the Fever have been really good. With it all said and done, I'm going to move on to Lynx. First half, full game. Maybe I wonder if the Lynx double result is too expensive. It probably is. It probably is. Let's just take a look and see if that is too expensive. It's got to be. The Lynx double result minus 185. Of course it is. Can't bet that. Thank you guys so much for supporting us here at Pub Sports Radio on the Nightly Bag. We'll have producers back in business with us here. Dougie Wysett says continue to dominate, Jimmy, and the chat. We are running well. We're seeing the board clearly. And, of course, it's taking an enormous amount of time. But when you're winning, it's a lot easier to put that time in. Thank you guys so much for your support. Dougie Wise, Philly Eagle Flyer, Jerry Davis, Mark A, 40 Kid, AM. Thank you guys. And AM is on the Dream. I get it. Thank you guys, man. We had AEOD in the house. Mark Stasowski, Morgan Spooner, Johnny Preston. Thank you guys, man. Truly, thank you for rocking with us. YOLO back in business. Nice to have YOLO. Todd Clinton ready to go. Philly Eagle Flyer. We had Elio in the house. Thank you guys for all your support, man. Let's go get this money, man. We're doing the work. Let's reap the rewards. It's work. It's all about the work. Will always come down to the work and what you put into it. I know things have changed with AI, but I'm barely using it. I probably should. I imagine that it would I'd be able to build these worksheets a lot faster. Let's get this money, man. Let's get this money. Oh, I got to be ready to put a bow on this show, which I will do, but let's let shade these bookies, man. Let's milk these bookies and get this papier, get this money, man. On behalf of all his Pub Sports Radio, thank you guys for your support. I will see you in 10 hours, 10 a.m. Eastern for the morning bag alongside Jose Bouquet. In the meantime, let's just keep rolling, man. Get that motherfucking cat.
It's easier to sleep in the black when you're losing your ass and feeling so, you know what to do. Tune in to Pub Sports Radio. Easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. It's a roller coaster ride, you're gonna catch a bad beat. No problem, keep your head up and just bet the spreadsheet. It's easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. All thanks to Jeff Slaughter, these shows have our backs. POD's always rolling, especially the stats. Easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. We got Jimmy, Jose, Debbie and the fam, Dutch Wine Time, Spooner and OG Wham. So hit the like button, don't say that you can't. If you know what's best, just put your money on tape.